Hello, welcome to St Helen's Church. I understand that you've come to have a look round to see if you can find things to write about for your school magazine, is that right?
Yeah.
Then why don't you come inside and have a look?
Wow!
It's great, isn't it? There's so much in here that you can see. I'm sure you'll find such a lot to write about. For example, over there we have a 15th century effigy of a pilgrim from the medieval period. But do you know what? We know nothing about him.
If only we could go back in time.
Oh, hello, who are you?
Hello, I'm a pilgrim from the 15th century.
Why did you become a pilgrim?
Well, when my feet were sore and the wind was blowing, I used to ask myself that question lots of times. There'd been lots of talk in the town about going on pilgrimages, especially from the priests, and I suppose I came to believe that if I walked all that way and made lots of sacrifices, I went to pray at this special holy shrine, then I might be forgiven my sins. And if that happened, then I'd got a better chance of getting to heaven.
Where did you travel to? For how long?
Well, I went to the Church of St James, and that's in Spain. And it was a place called Santiago de Compostela.
What did you take with you?
As little as possible. When you're walking all that way, you don't want extra weight. I've got my clothes, my hat to keep the sun and the wind off, and I've got my staff, my scallop shell, and then my knapsack and a few coins in there and my prayer beads. Oh, and then a newfangled thing, a little mirror with a folding cover. So they say you can get the spirit of a place and take it home with you. So when I was at the Church of St James in the big service, I held my mirror up to the altar and then I shut the lid, and I'm not going to open it again until I get home. And then when I'm home, I'll open the lid and hopefully the spirit of St James will live on in my house. That's what I'm hoping.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Who are you?
My name is Zadok. I am a soldier of the English Civil War.
What was important about Ashby Castle?
Ashby Castle was a strategic part of the country. It was in the Midlands on main turnpike roads. It was also owned by the Hastings family, who were supporters of the king.
When they hid in the church and castle, how did they have enough food and drink?
All castles always kept a stock of food in case of a siege. They also all had sweet water wells, so there would be ample water inside the castle itself. They would have a lot of livestock inside the castle. They would have beasts, sheep, sometimes swine, pigs, and chickens. And as and when necessary, these animals would be slaughtered for food.
So, what did it feel like when you were fighting?
Frightening. When you think, until then, maybe the biggest crowd I'd ever been in was the autumn wakes, when we had a bit of a fair and farmers sold their livestock and produce, and they might be 300 or 400 people come from neighbouring villages. The biggest crowd I'd ever seen. The loudest noise I'd ever heard was thunder. Yet, when I was called to go and fight, we marched to Edge Hill in Warwickshire. And when we got there, picking up comrades on the way, there was 30 or 35,000 people there. An amazing sight. I remember at night sitting there and looking over the valley to the hill and seeing all the fires and lights of the enemy. And then, of course, when the battle started, you're given muskets, you're taught how to fire a musket, you're there lined up with all your colleagues. And then our artillery opened up. These massive guns. We had 28 massive cannons going off. It was a terrifying sound. There was flames leaping out the barrel of the guns. There was smoke. You couldn't see the enemy for all the smoke. And the noise was deafening. Some people Some of our troops just turned and ran. They were terrified. They said they were cowards, but they were not cowards. They might have had cowards' legs, because it was the legs that done the running, but it was an awesome sight. And then the enemy opened up, and a soldier not far from me, cannonball had hit him and nearly cut him in half, broke him in half. And that frightened you as well. And then musket ball starts raining in, and you're returning fire. And then you have to learn how to survive a battle. Because I was not interested which side won that battle that day. My only interest was surviving the battle and getting back home to my family.
Who are you?
Oh, don't come too close. I've got a terrible illness. They say I've got the plague.
What are the symptoms of the plague?
Well, at first I just thought I got a very bad chill. I was shivering and aching all over. And I just felt generally poorly. And then these great swellings came up under my armpits. A terrible weakness has overcome me.
What did you do to try to get rid of the plague?
Well, I'm not eating anything, and I'm drinking arsenic and mercury to kill the germs. My neighbour, she knows a lot about cures. She's given me some herbs that might help, and an incense to burn to try and cover the terrible smell.
Who are you?
My name is James Worstel, and I'm the constable to the parish. Now, I believe you've come to ask me about the candelabra.
When did you find out that the candelabra was stolen?
It was on Tuesday morning. The church wardens came to me and told me that the previous night that 12 branches of the candelabra, which is above us, was stolen by villains.
Were the two men caught, and were they local?
Well, we haven't caught them yet, but I will, rest assured. We have got two suspects. The locals in the George Inn on Monday night saw two strangers. One was quite a tall man with his own hair rather than a wig, and the other was a smaller, shifty, ill-looking character. So I suspect those are our two men. They were quite young, so they would have the strength to be able to lift the candelabra down.
Why might the thieves have thrown away the candelabra instead of selling it?
Well, I find it an absolute crime against the state to even break into a church and steal something like this. So I think it's a heinous crime. And I can only assume that the candelabra was thrown away or stolen because the thieves thought it was made of gold. Well, it's not, it's made of brass. And they just threw them in the hedgerow because they thought there was no money to them. So all their efforts were in vain. So we haven't yet caught the perpetrators of this crime. We have got the candelabra back, and thankfully it's back in its rightful place. And my job of constable carries on. I'm coming up for re-election this year. Should I re-stand?
Yeah.
All right, then I shall stand again.
Who are you?
I'm the church warden, and this lady, well,
What did you do to have your finger put in the pillory?
I was in the service and my mate was asleep and I was just whispering and I got hauled out. I thought I'd done it behind my hand, caught me, that was it, got pulled out.
Did the finger pillory hurt and did it leave scars?
Yes, it hurts, it pulls. My fingers are too fat to get in there properly and it makes them sore and it leaves a really nasty red mark. It's not nice.
Do you think that the use of the finger pillory was a fair punishment and was it really necessary?
certainly. Without punishments like this, we'll have wretched people whispering and giggling through the sermon. Some even fall asleep. The children are the worst. They need firm discipline. That'll keep them in check.
Over there. Hello, who are you?
Hello, I'm Edward Mamet, the church organist.
As you were blinded at the age of 6, did you find your future life hard, and if so, in what way?
It was very hard at first. I was just a small boy. I couldn't understand why it was always dark. I was afraid to walk about in case I bumped into things and fell over. I couldn't find anything. Couldn't even find my own clothes and shoes to put on. But gradually I learned to feel my way around, and my sense of hearing became very sharp, which helped a lot.
How did you learn to play the organ?
I learnt where the different pedals and keys were by touching them and listening to the sounds. While I was still quite young, the man who'd been the then church organist, he taught me a lot and showed me how to practice until I was good enough to play in the services.
Who are you?
Oh, hello, me ducks. How are you? All right. My name's James Smith and I'm a Stonemasons labourer.
How were people chosen to work on the church extension? Who chose you?
Now, that were they church folk, you know, the rector and the parish council and the like, you know. Now, they brought a man up from London, Lambeth it was, yes. Now, his name was Mr. Eyre, Mr. Thomas Eyre. Now, he brought with him some skilled men. Oh, they were really skilled stonemasons, they were. Now, later on, another Mr. Eyre, James, he came and whatnot. Now, he were a very skilled man, he was. He could make most beautiful carvings you're ever likely to see in your life. Now, we local men, we were brought on to do labouring type of work, you know, lifting, carrying, that sort of thing. And with my mind, we were glad on it, we were. I've done all kind of labouring jobs in my life, but this was one of the hardest. Oh, wow, yeah. But end of the day, we all had to say that it were a right privilege to be working on this church.
Were you ever hurt while working on the church? And if so, how did you feel?
Oh, yeah. I fell from that scaffold. I were hurt bad. I was in such a lot of pain. I cracked my skull down here and I hurt my back, and well, it was a bit of a worry, like, you know, because we were thinking we were going to starve because I couldn't work and there was no money coming in, but we was lucky, we were lucky. Because I was working on church, we got money from parish fund. That kept us going till I were able to get back work, you see.
I hope you found plenty to write about. Thank you for coming. Take care going home.
Wish I'd been in church that day.